what Bitcoin really is, and without giving up too much detail on television to bore people, but it's become a durable, stable, long-term store of value. And I say stable because it's never been hacked. It's sort of impregnable, and it's scarce, and it's immutable. It's volatile, though, and it goes up and down as the society is adopting Bitcoin. We've experienced high volatility in Bitcoin, but it's the best performing asset over the last 10 years. And so if you read something like Neil Ferguson's book, The Ascent of Money, it checks all of the boxes of what human beings like in their money in terms of using it as a technology to trade goods and services with each other. A meme coin is really just a gambling token. It has a blockchain technology to it, and you can transfer it back and forth to each other, but it really doesn't have that much value, and it hasn't really been adopted by the mainstream financial institutions. And you mentioned some other things. Those are also, security-like instruments in the world of technology, but nothing is as durable or as sustainable as Bitcoin.
And President Trump, right before Inauguration Day, created his own meme coin. What is your reaction to that?
Well, listen, I would ask people to read the Wall Street Journal's editorial yesterday, just describing the great conflict of interest that represents. And so Mr. Trump is basically setting up a gambling token 48 hours before he becomes the most powerful person in the world. And so that token rose in value, went down in value. People are trading that token around the world. And I think its fully diluted market capitalization is about 35 billion. Mr. Trump controls 80% of that coin. So there's a notional value there of $24 billion. Of course, he's locked into the coin for 3 years. But, listen, this is not something that I think any of us like, because it's a direct conflict of interest with what he's doing. And it will create a central clearing station, as the Wall Street Journal points out. You could end up in a situation where somebody could pay him to do things for them through that token. Now, I'm not suggesting anybody's doing that, but it's just the appearance of that impropriety, I think, weakens the presidency. And it also puts his commissioner-to-be, or his nominated commissioner, Atkins, at risk now when he's testifying, because they'll be saying to him, he's generally been a pro-crypto person, as you know. I'm a pro-crypto person. But he'll be saying, well, aren't you just acting in the personal interest of the President of the United States instead of the interest of the country? So I wish he didn't do that. But, with Donald Trump, you get the entire buffet table of Trump. You get some of the grift with some of the good business policies. And it's disappointing to see. But go to the Wall Street Journal. They blister President Trump with an analysis of what he did and how bad it actually is.
Anthony, on November 5th, the market trading value of Bitcoin was $68,317. As we speak, it is $106,269. What does that tell us?
Well, it tells you that tells you I should probably buy a Christmas gift from Donald Trump, actually. That's an aside. What it tells you in real time is that those prices were probably suppressed during the Biden administration. The administration had a very anti-crypto policies in place. A lot of them were arbitrary and capricious, and don't go by me. Those are actually court cases that were won by the crypto industry. And so I think the normalization of regulation that's going to happen in the Trump administration has unleashed this price discovery. And so I like to tell people that those prices, or would have been the 2022 prices, had Gary Gensler had just followed the administrative law and processed and approved the Bitcoin Cash ETF way back in 2022. But he decided not to do that. He got brutalized in court, lost several cases, was forced to put the Bitcoin ETF on the ledger. The best, most successful ETF launch in history, Major, back in January of last year. And so these prices, for Bitcoiners like me, people that really study this market, they're fairly valued prices, and we predict that Bitcoin will probably end the year closer to 200,000, and not anywhere near the prices that it's trading at right now. So the original people, sort of that OG, like they say, the original group of people that were early stage Bitcoiners, were thrilled with that decision. Mr. Ulbrook, if you will, got life imprisonment with no opportunity to parole. and he was a little bit of a nerdy guy that created this thing called the Silk Road. The Silk Road sort of exploded and got used for all different types of nefarious things, including money laundering and arms sales and et cetera.
Drug
And
transactions.
yeah, exactly. Drug transactions. He got prosecuted for the creation of this thing. Big mistake on his part. A lot of people in the cryptocurrency industry felt that he was over prosecuted, if you will, or that sentence of a lifetime imprisonment for a 29-year-old was unjust. Mr. Trump heard their pleas, and he pardoned them in the first week of his second term of his presidency. So I'm not as close to that situation as some of the OG people are. I got to Bitcoin in 2020. Ross and the other guys got there in 2009, 10. So I'm not as familiar with the fact set, but I can tell you that there's Bitcoiners, the original Bitcoiners are very pleased with that decision by Donald Trump to pardon him. Well, listen, I mean, the president's telling people that he's being patient with Elon and that he thinks Elon will grow tired and less interested in what's going on. Of course, now that the president is actually president, he's inside the White House, and there's a little bit harder access points to a president of the United States than to a president-elect. But I guess the real issue, and journalists like yourself should be asking this, Elon is badged to go in and out of the White House, and so he has access, and there is talk about him eventually getting an office in the old executive office building. And if that's the case, God bless. He's a very talented and capable person. But I guess the open question would be, can you be badged to go into the White House, sit in those policy meetings, and also run SpaceX and Tesla and things like X, if you will, and so many other companies that he's brilliantly managed to run, operate, and control. So the operating question is, are we going to allow business leaders into the White House and have a dual role like that? It sounds like there's a conflict of interest. There's probably ethical rules or ethical standards inside of Washington that would probably prevent that. And so all I would say to Mr. Musk, who I think is a very talented person and could be very helpful in making the government more efficient, is to shed his other roles and focus on the role that he's seeking in public service. I think it'd be very difficult to do both those roles.
Anthony Scaramucci, always a pleasure, sir. Thank you.
Hey, good to be on with you. Thank you.